Welcome to the Authenticity Calling podcast. I am your host, Relitza Spasova, and I am so grateful to be joined today by my spirit sister. We only met a week and a half ago, but it feels like we've known each other for lifetimes, and that's plural. This is Jianna Bonomi. Please welcome to the space. Thank you so much for being with us today. And please tell us what you do. You are like a woman of so many walks in life. I can't believe you've accomplished all the things you've accomplished in one lifetime. I'm just astounded, but welcome.
Yes. I feel like first of all, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for holding this space for so many individuals who are navigating these turbulent times and really reminding people to ground into this level of knowing and this level of authenticity, and really providing that realness, that rawness, that reminder that so many souls need right now. I want to first and foremost acknowledge that and shine light on that and illuminate what you are doing and the power that is coming through in the spaces that you create. So, first and foremost, thank you for showing up. Thank you for everything that you have had to navigate in order to be here now, in order to hold this space, in order to be a light for so many souls, including me. So thank you, first and foremost, sister. I see you. I see you. I see you. I see you. And yes, it is a blessing. It is an honor. It is a privilege to be here with you now, to be living in this time right now. It is monumental. And yes, my name is Jianna Bonomi. I am an anomaly, and I have lived many lives in this lifetime alone. I had I would say my warrior energy has always been present. And the first part of my life, I was a professional athlete. So I was a USA volleyball player. I played Division I Pac-12 volleyball in college and toured around the country representing USA and California Polynesian All Stars. So in my warrior life, I was definitely in my masculinity, always being a bit challenging to limitations. That's always been something in my spirit. And throughout my life, I've had a number of initiations that have allowed me to meet so many different aspects of myself. And this new creative artistry has been fully coming online, which is so resonant to my soul. And so I am a creator, I am an artist, I am a facilitator, I am a medicine woman, I'm an alchemist, I'm a sister, I'm a lover, I'm a friend. I'm so many different things. And I'm just very blessed and honored to be here. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You are such a gorgeous soul, and I am fully receiving. It's very rare for me to receive and just like fall
Yeah.
into this space of like, oh my God, I'm coming to tears, but it's so genuine and authentic and real. And we feel this from each other. I mean, every time we see each other, it's like
Yes.
little
Yes.
kids, it's something so magical. And I'm so grateful for you.
Mm.
Earlier I recorded a podcast with someone else, and I was really, they called me forward to name 3 things that I love about myself. And I was so shy, so in my shadow. And it's so interesting because I am being called forward into the space that you speak
Absolutely.
of.
Mhm.
And I'm already there and I know that. And I still am like, as soon as I turn
Absolutely.
in, I shrink.
Yes, everyone right now, especially the ones who have been holding the space holders, are being asked to step into the light, right? And when we have been working in the shadows, we've been working in the cave, we've been excavating all the things within our internal worlds to be able to show up in authenticity, in service. When it's an opportunity to fully step into that light, it's a bit uncomfortable, it's a bit vulnerable. It's a bit scary. It's like, are you sure? Like, I don't know. It feels a little, it's new.
It's new.
But it is needed. And
Yeah.
that's something that's so beautiful that I'm seeing and even witnessing within myself is it's beyond me.
Yeah.
right? The call is so much stronger than my own insecurity,
That's right. I love
no?
that. Yeah, you are so right. And I think that's the thing, we're not, people always think, oh, the people that walk in the light were, the ones that are all over social media, they don't get, they don't get challenges. They don't deal with these hard
Oh my
times. And
gosh.
it's like, you don't see behind the scenes what it takes to step into this space, the amount of
Absolutely.
resistance, the amount of blood, sweat, and tears, literally, the
Yes.
amount of like different things we need to juggle and manage, and the
Mhm.
energy that we hold for so many people and so many places. It's
Yes.
whew,
Yes. And I see that too, right? Like when we have this idea of an assumption based off of what someone looks like, right? And we create this narrative around their life, or we see just their highlight reels. And that's something that I've challenged in my social media is I've shown a lot of vulnerable places in my life, and places that held a lot of insecurities. So for those of you who are listening that don't know, I was in a really major car accident. I was actually in two, and it was a near death experience, which ended up putting me in a wheelchair. And from someone who was a professional athlete, being put in that amount of inability was something that was so vulnerable, and it was extremely humbling. And we often see people like the before and after, right? But it's like, where's the journey, and what does the process look like? And so I've often challenged this idea of social media showing the highlight reels, and I've shown the ugly part of the journey.
mhm,
Like me scooting in the bed and needing four nurses to help me into a commode isn't sexy.
yeah,
Like, I'm not here to be pleasing. I'm here to show the truth.
that's
And I think that's something that a lot of people are being called into, especially now, where it's like, no, you want to know how I got here? This is what it looks like. And
yeah,
to be real about that. And so people understand that when they're going through something and they're questioning and they're in a really dark place and it is ugly, that
mhm,
it's okay and it's normal, and it means that you're doing it with honesty
yeah.
first and foremost for yourself, and to be reassured in that process.
Yeah, absolutely. We are not, yeah, anyone that works through and gets to any level of achievement, I think. I mean, we've all, from being here as babies, we failed time and time and time again. That's how we all learned how to walk. And
Mhm,
so it's interesting that so many of us are risk averse, or we're afraid to kind of step outside of the comfort zone. We would rather just play small and stay
mhm,
where we are than push that box, which is really going to, the box will fall apart, and that's the point. It's
mhm.
not supposed to look that in the next level, it's not supposed to look the way it does now.
No,
That's why we're here. We're here to evolve.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What would you say is your guiding light or your North Star when it comes to being in those moments? Like, what do you feel? Is there one thing that you have repeated to yourself, a mantra, an affirmation, or is there something that you look to, whether you're spiritual or religious or not? But is there something that supports you in getting through those times where you do doubt yourself, or you're not sure if you're going to make it to the next day? Like, what is that thing that's kept you going?
Absolutely. I think a number of things. I first and foremost have to say, I have been absolutely privileged with the amount of community that I have, right? Like, I think that is first and foremost everything. And so when I'm going through times where I'm questioning my ability, not that I'm dependent on the validation of others, but having a tribe of souls that really see you, that really know you, that can really remind you of you,
Yeah.
has been my greatest strength. You
Yeah.
know, I of course, you dig deep. Of course, you find something to hold on to. Whether that just means, like, I remember one time when I was literally in the hospital bed and I could barely move. It hurt so bad to just breathe, right? And I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to run again? How the hell am I gonna ever be able to go to the bathroom by myself again? Like,
Wow.
how am I gonna, and as a woman, oh my gosh, like the insecurity of like, am I gonna even be like able to be sexy again? And dude, like there were so many things that were going on and all those fears that were circulating. And in that moment, that's what something that I always talk about is I challenge this notion of pain because pain makes you radically present. It has that potential if we allow it. And pain is a great teacher. Pain has so much gold waiting for you to extract, but you just have to go through the dark in order to really extract it. And
Mm,
and in those moments, I had to surrender into breath, into the inhale, into the exhale. And that amount of presence and that amount of centeredness, it was almost forced upon me in that moment, but it cultivated this deep, 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 intimate relationship with this sovereignty within me that I learned to cultivate in a number of different scenarios throughout my life. But I cannot say that I would be here without my tribe. There's no
wow.
way I would have made it without my community.
That is so beautiful. Yeah, I talk about Spirit Tribe all the time. And this is one of the things that I've been called to create and cultivate and really tap into while, we're here. I always say Vancouver is a little temporary for me. And so
Mhm,
I've resisted because my whole life we've been moving. And I learned from a young age that, if I create friendships, they're only but gonna last so long before we have to move again. And
mhm,
so I've had this little bit of resistance in actually creating that community
mhm.
because you know me, I need to be by the beach. I like that is part of my blood, sweat, and tears is like
Yes,
I need to be by the water. I need to be in
yes.
the sun, and that's simply not Vancouver, at least not the way that I know it to be
Mhm.
possible. And so, you're from Hawaii, you obviously there's no better person to know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Um, yeah.
Yes. The healing energy of Mother Nature and the water is so powerful,
Mm,
right? Like we have so much access to healing that we have just forgotten.
yeah.
And I think that, and from my experience, when I went on this healing journey, and to be honest, like I've been on this healing journey since I was a child.
Mm,
People see pivotal events and like, climatic events, but my life has been consistently difficult, like for a bit of time. And so, but and not in a victimized way, it's just like a reality. And yeah, you learn, I think, through the process of really coming into a greater relationship with yourself, a relationship with your spirituality, a relationship with your faith, that authenticity radiates. And that's kind of the energy of when you really find your soul tribe, right? So before I didn't have community. I had a lot of people around.
mhm,
I had a
mhm,
lot of acquaintances, had a lot of social circles that I was a part of.
mhm.
But the notion of tribe, right? The notion of that real unconditional love and
Yeah,
support,
yeah.
that didn't become available until I was able to see my own self and able to see what I truly value in friendship and community, and
Mm.
and arrive at a place where I could offer that in community as
Mm,
well.
I love that. So if someone was listening right now and they're hearing this and they're like, "Well, I want a tribe."
Mhm.
What would be, the step or the mechanism or the pathway to cultivating that within yourself?
I would say first and foremost, look to the places that you get a reaction out of you. Like if there's any type of rise within you, be curious about it, right? We're getting triggered and people stop at the trigger, and that's like you're almost there, but you gotta it's right there for you
Yeah.
to look at and with compassion and curiosity. There's that level of I think this is my Aquarius moon, right? You know me, I'm so into astrology.
Yeah.
Um, and
Love it.
my ability to kind of zoom out and see things in a more objective format has really helped me navigate some, challenging emotions. But in order to really, we say this all the time in relationship, like people can only meet you as much as they've met themselves, right? So, first and foremost, I would say continue to work on yourself and know that you're never going to be at a place where you're fully healed, right? It's a continuous journey. And something
Yeah.
I really speak about is we often think that that healing is this linear path. And so
Yeah.
when we come back around with lessons that feel like repeated lessons, we often get discouraged. But
Mm-hmm.
healing is cyclical, right? And like the more that we come into this greater understanding, it's like the more that we peel back all of these defense mechanisms, all of these things, all these survival techniques that we have had to create in order to get through some of the things that we've had to get through, the greater we're able to be in that more aligned place. And that is the place where the heart is open. And that's when, you randomly connect with someone online, you see a sister circle that's happening, you follow your heart and your desire to some event because you're excited to see the art, and you find a community that feels the same way about the art.
That's right. Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. And it's so true when you finally decide to do the thing. For people that are sort of living in the box and are hearing this and are curious, or they
Mm,
haven't necessarily experienced it, or maybe they have once or twice in a blue moon.
mm,
It is really doing it's a trusting process. And I think
mhm.
when you start to notice the breadcrumbs, it's allowing yourself to actually take the step towards that thing that calls you.
Oh
It's
yeah.
tough, but it's
Oh
worth
yeah.
it. So
Yes.
worth it.
Yes, you're gonna be uncomfortable. Like that's the thing. Just like when you're doing something that's comfortable, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. It just means that you've been doing it for some time.
That's right.
Likewise, if you're doing something when you're uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just you haven't done it.
Yeah.
Right. And I was really stuck. Like I haven't been this like enlightened person that's just like, yeah, just do things that are different. Like I was very stuck in my patterns. I was stuck in the same city. I was stuck with the same mindset and patterns. And for me personally, and everyone's path is different, I had to honestly be like really stripped, like forced, stripped of all of the things that were in my comfort zone, my foundation, my family, my sense of security, my sense of self, everything, for me to be completely bare and open. And I had to, based off of forest, relocated to a completely new environment. And then through that process was the rebirth. But it was a process. And it, again, like going off of what I said earlier, it's not pretty. This healing process, it ain't cute sometimes. Like it ain't cute. And but it's real. And it's real. And that's what makes it beautiful,
Yeah.
right? That's what makes it real. That's what makes it raw. That's the gold. It's really not the after. It's not.
Right.
It's the journey. It's the cultivation of these qualities where like it now I am at a point where like I have this connection with my faith, with myself, that is so strong that I am confident that I can remain center amidst the chaos. And that's something that we're seeing right now. It doesn't mean that it's easy. It doesn't mean that there aren't nights that I'm sobbing and wanting to feel sorry for myself and having a pity party.
That's right.
We're human,
Yeah.
but it means that like no, I am unshakable in this relationship that I have cultivated through this journey and
Yes.
process.
Yes. The relationship with self, other
Yes.
than externalizing, because I think that's another habit in our
Mhm.
society. We tend to look to others,
Mhm.
regardless of where you're at in terms of business or relationships or whatever it might be. But we tend to look for others to validate what we're feeling. And that is simply never going to get you
Mhm.
to that path,
Mhm.
because no one can validate and tell you how right you are except you.
Exactly.
Someone can
Exactly.
reflect your light, and I think that's very powerful in spirit tribe when you're going through the shadows, when you're going through the valley, when you're in the mud, when you feel stuck, for someone to tell you, well, why don't you take a mud bath? Like, you're in the
Yes.
mud. Why don't you just
Yes.
be there and soak it all
Yes.
in? And it's like, oh, right.
Yes.
Like, it's that reminder of our
Mhm.
greatness, but not
Absolutely.
to validate, not to tell us what to do. And I think that's the big misunderstanding when it comes to coaching. People think like, oh, I'm going to get a coach and they're going to fix my problems. It's like, no, that's not what
Mhm.
coaches do.
No,
Like,
no,
yeah,
no. And it's that, I think that's where we're moving even in collectively in relationships. It's out of this codependency, right? And into interdependence because we don't, there it's a balance and it's a dance, right? Like exactly like you said, in the moments when you're stuck, I might need a sister to remind me who I am, but
that's
I'm
right.
not going to be, that's where the dance is that you don't get stuck on, I'm dependent on you now whenever I'm stuck. It's no, 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 let me remind you, let me reflect back to you what it is that you deeply know that you might
Yeah.
have just forgotten in this moment. And then it's your job in that dance to do what you can only do for you.
Yes, to claim it, to want it, to
Yes.
talk it, to be it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yes.
and it's not for the external validation. I think that's a really key point because I think a
Mhm.
lot of us, and especially, different personalities. I work with the Enneagram with my clients and different like human design and just different quizzes and ways to get to know ourselves a little better, both energetically and
Love it.
mindset and just our
Yes.
personalities.
Yes.
But I think all of it is information. People always ask me, what's the best one? I'm like, there is no best one. It's all of them give you some information about yourself and you can choose.
Yes.
Something is not going to tell you a blueprint of who you are. You
Yes.
will know what resonates and what
Yes.
doesn't.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah,
so powerful, right? Like, and that's what I even say with astrology too. And that's again, yes, that the same notion of this interdependence. It's inspiring a self-reflection. It's giving you a context to look at an energy. And then it's up to you to decide, like, does this resonate as truth?
that's
Right.
right.
And I think even going off that, like that's a big topic right now that's coming up for discussion is this notion of truth. And in some of the things that I'm working on creatively and in my artistic endeavors is this frequency of truth, right? There's this known frequency of truth that I believe is universal, and then it's your own personal truth as to does this align with my values and it's a very intimate process, I would say.
I love that. And it's absolutely true. People have questioned before, what do you mean your truth versus, because everyone has their own truth in terms of their perspective or their lens. And so
Mhm.
I always think of our truth as an evolution. It depends where you're
Yes.
at. It's sort of
Yeah.
like what level of the video game you're at in life, like that you beat Bowser level 1, then you get to level 2, then you get to level 3. But I think we get to honor our truth no matter what level we're at, and I feel like that is part of the evolution to the next level is being able to sit in that truth even when no one agrees, especially when no one agrees,
Especially.
and
Yes.
be truly committed to what is our truth and
Mhm.
take the next step in that truth. That's what authenticity calling is all about. It's like when you know,
Mhm.
and the universe will give you signs if you pay attention, right? As soon as
Yes.
and you can even ask for them, right? As soon as I started seeing like triple digits on the clock or um on the mileage or whatever it was, I knew like my angels are calling out to me. It's okay, you're on the right path,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I truly believe everything happens for us. And so we've all had those dark moments where you feel like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Like, how did I get here? How did I get to this place?
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
if we don't have that spiritual trust and connection, we don't know that life happens for us. We feel in victim mode. We want
Absolutely.
to, scream and shout and cry and blame and judge and all of the things ourselves and others. And I feel like that's where a lot of people are actually stuck. Many people have come out of it because we're in this really quickly evolving space right now. But for those
Mhm.
people that still are stuck, it's like what's waiting for you
Mhm.
is that recognition of only you can truly, truly deeply
Yes.
have yourself in that moment.
Yes.
Yes, you need spirit tribe to support. Yes, you can lean on people. But if you're not clear with yourself,
Mhm.
and I think that's the key. Like that's like the secret secret key to unlock the door.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And something to note when going through these hard times and blame and shame and being in these places where you don't even know what to do, right? I think right now, especially, people are meeting with a level of grief, a level of loss, a level of confusion and chaos that they may not have ever felt before. And I know for me, again, like, and everyone's journey is different. I had to learn, I had to learn how powerful I was through a process where I felt the weakest I could possibly be. Like, and, and that's the dance, and that's what I believe God does, is when we pray. And I had to be completely lost in my journey and being in a place of desperation, where not a lot of people know this, but before my accident, I was completely lost, a shell of a human being, and I cried out of desperation of my broken heart, and I said, God, if you do not show me a miracle, I am going to stop believing in you.
Girl, be careful what you ask for.
Girl. And then 6 weeks later, Gianna's soul wanted to experience getting hit by a drunk driver at 90 miles per hour and being told by all of these people, and all, like, and I didn't have a scratch on my face. Like, if I showed you the pictures of the car, like, it was
I
a
just saw them on your Instagram today,
yes,
actually, and it gave
yes,
me chills. And I've seen them, but every single time it's like, and especially knowing you now, I'm like, I cannot, like, of course I can, but I cannot believe that this has actually, this is your past and this is who you are now. It's
yes.
unbelievable.
Yes, and it's, that, again, like, that process, like, I had to also, there's so many things that you learn. It's like, okay, I learned the power of my tongue also. Like, be what words are you giving life to, right? You're choosing to create something that is intangible and bringing it to this fertile ground of energy.
We don't just talk about writing things down. That is literally casting a spell, but what we speak is so
Yes,
powerful.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And and so, again, that process was a painful one, but it was a powerful one. And to really just, for people who are going through it, I would just encourage you to to approach this particular space with a radically new perspective, and something that, what you said too, is, what is this for? What is this teaching me? And I firmly believe, like, if you look at your life from a soul perspective, like, you are not this body, you are not this identity
Yes.
that you have created in your mind, and that society has created, and that you have agreed to,
Yes.
right? Like, you're beyond that. And
Mhm.
and to remember that in these moments, and to ask, like, all right, my soul decided to experience this. I really don't think that this is what I would want, but it's what I need.
Yeah.
So what is this teaching me? What
Yeah.
is this for? Where is
Yeah.
the gold? Because you
Yeah.
can always find it. There is something that you can find.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah.
As long as you're breathing, you have something to find,
That's right.
even if
And
it's just your breath.
that was going to be my question. It's like, why did it happen? How did that experience happen for you? And you just spelled it out. So
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that is
many
so
things,
powerful.
right? We get stripped of these identities. I had a very strong identity and attachment to my body, and my ability to perform. That's who I was. I was good at what I did. I depended on my body. That's who I was known as. and and spirit had a beautiful unraveling waiting for me, because I was so much more than what my body could do. I was so much
Mm,
more than what I looked like.
mm,
My strength was not in my ability to perform. My strength was in my essence.
yes.
And in order for me to know that, I had to be stripped of everything that I thought was strong and powerful, to really meet what strength and power is. And that's something too. And again, 3 years later, going through another accident, I had to learn, like, the first accident, I would say, was very much, I had to learn this level divine masculinity within myself, of like, you gotta get up and walk, and it
Mm,
hurts, and you're scared, and I don't know if my feet are going to carry me because they're shattered, and I've been told by all these doctors that I am unable to do certain things, but guess what? You have to try. And so
mm,
in those moments, like, it wasn't really a process of being in my feminine, of feeling the feelings. It was like, you need to, if you want to walk again,
mm.
like, you gotta get your ass up out of this wheelchair, and it hurts, but
Yeah.
you gotta keep going. And like, I had to learn that. And then 3 years later, I was, again, had to be balanced because I was going in that masculine, right? And out of balance. And so having the second accident happen put me in a position of, oh my gosh, this new level of divine femininity, of,
Mm,
wow, this isn't, I can't push through right now. I
mhm.
have to, like, I have to literally I have to sink deeper,
Tell me
right?
about that process, because I think it's a little bit more practical in terms of, again, in the essence of pushing through, in the essence of the masculine energy. It's that doing, it's that achieving, it's that executing. You're taking action. And sure, there's a difference between messy action and aligned action, or whatever that might look like. Inaction is being in that freeze response, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
but what does embracing your essence and your feminine look like, coming from a place where you're so accustomed? And I think this is the world we live in. We're so accustomed, especially as women. And just to kind of pull it back, for those that don't speak the language of energies, it's when we say masculine and feminine energies, we all have them regardless of our gender or our
Mhm,
sexual orientation.
mhm.
It's really the energy with which, and a lot of philosophers talk about this, the yin and the yang, and
Yes.
just the different energies within us that we all get to embrace and
Mhm,
balance, as you said. Whereas the
mhm.
feminine is more of the intuitive, it's more of the falling back, it's more of the receiving, it's more of the nurturing, it's more of just being rather
Yes,
than doing.
yes.
So how did you really, what do you feel now that you're here looking back?
Mhm,
How would you describe yourself before that aha moment, before that calling to really embrace that feminine? And
mhm.
what's the difference between now? And I guess, how did you get there? That's a really loaded question, but
Yeah, yeah.
so that people that are in that space can catch themselves. Because I think if I look back at myself like 10 years ago, I wouldn't have necessarily said that I'm I'm majorly in my masculine. I would have thought, oh, like, I'm pretty feminine. I like to wear, whatever we describe that as.
Yeah.
But what were those characteristics of yours that you recognize now looking back, like, oh my goodness, that was way too much on that side for me?
Mhm. Yeah, so beautiful question, beautiful question. I think before, right, as in operating in my masculine, I was trained to meet certain challenges and resistance with this pushing through energy, right? With action, um with with direction, right? And grit, and but that only goes so far, right? If we go, we're not allowing ourselves to learn because we're just going. And so for me, the way that I had to learn this dance with this divine femininity and this feminine aspect of myself is I had to feel. I had to
Mhm.
feel. I had to face feeling,
Mm.
and that was scarier than pushing through. That was like, I feel naked. This is so raw,
Yeah, that
and
vulnerability.
I have to face feeling without abandoning myself in that feeling.
Tell us about that.
So, right, we oftentimes we think of feeling, and we think of at least for me, I think of the experiences where I've seen people just completely lose themselves in their emotions, right? Just completely be consumed by their emotions. And while it's good to acknowledge your feelings and your emotions, there is a level of awareness and a level of presence that I believe one must have in order to be there for yourself during it. Right? Like I feel like it's a balance and it's a dance. I always talk about it. It's not a black and white thing. You know, I had to allow myself to mourn the life that I used to live. I needed to allow myself to mourn the body I used to have that I no longer have.
Mm.
Because it's in that acknowledgement that we're able to then move forward. But if we don't acknowledge the past, if we don't acknowledge the pain, it's still there.
Yes. We're just covering it up.
We're just covering it up.
Putting
We're
more layers.
dissociating,
Yes.
you know, and it's still going to be there. There's still going to be that wound. And if something hits it, it's a trigger.
That's right.
Right? It's a we think that it's twisted. We think that oh, we don't want to be a victim. We don't want to be a victim. It's like, okay, well then feel it.
That's right. Face it.
Feel it and own it. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. My mentor coach, she talks about feeling, and neuroscience proves that any emotion, if we're really allowing it to move through our body, if we're open and allowing it to move through, it takes around 90 seconds. It doesn't actually take that long if we fully, submit to being in it. However, because we don't, we hold on, we stay strong, we push through. It's like it just gets layered and bottled and layered and bottled. And then it's like it's like a pressure cooker. And then when we do get to that place, it feels overwhelming. So then we don't go there. We keep ignoring ourselves.
Yes. And I think also too, something to note is when we are feeling this discomfort and this uncomfortable emotion, it's vital that we are aware of the stories that we are telling ourselves about this feeling, right? When I'm talking about feeling a feeling, like, and being radically present in it, we have to just allow the feeling to be the feeling and the emotion to be the emotion, without a story, without a narrative, without an identity, without it meaning anything. Right? We have to just allow them to move. Emotion, energy and motion.
That's right.
Yeah.
Breathing is so powerful, so important. Yeah. We hold our breath, which is the same. If you're holding your breath, that energy can't move through you.
Yes.
So important, so powerful. I want to bring it back to that grief and loss. You mentioned that a lot of people are at the state of grief and loss. And I do believe, and it's something that you spoke to, but it's that death and rebirth. And it's like really being able to be in that so that we can let go of the layers that we have bundled ourselves up in to play small and be safe.
Yeah.
If someone's hearing this right now, what would you say to them in terms of being able to surrender into that?
I would say first and foremost to have grace for yourself, right? Like, have grace for the fact that life is challenging. It is. We can't avoid it. Everyone meets a level, like no one is immune to experiencing pain in this lifetime. So first and foremost, having grace for your life as a human, right? And to, I would say, allow the process of grief to deepen your ability to love. Grief has been one of my greatest teachers in this life. And I feared it so much because I felt it so deep.
Yeah.
But when you think about love and you think about our heart space, grief is synonymous with love. It means that we feel it. It means that there is this level of love that, and that is honorary of our ability to love. And I always see it as the amount in which grief deepens you is the amount in which love can expand in your life.
Yeah, I love that duality. That's such a beautiful explanation of it. Yeah. You know, it's so interesting. My son the other day, you know, I can't remember what had happened, but he was like, Mommy, I don't want you to die. Like one day you're gonna die. And he was just like gut wrenching, like
Mhm.
crying, like that depth. I've never felt that
Mhm.
depth before. I honor and appreciate and value my child so, so much for all the lessons he teaches me. That
Yes.
moment right there, I was like, wow, your waters run so deep.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
because I've had grief for my grandfather when I was younger, I feel like I have shut so many of those parts of me of feeling that depth of love because of the grief I felt. It's like that
Yes.
little girl never wanted to feel that bad again.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
so when I felt that from him, it was like, oh, he's calling me forward, you know, like to heal that wound, to go back and to be able to
Mhm.
actually love a little more, to be able to
Yes.
feel a little more.
Yes. You
Those
know,
triggers, yeah.
absolutely. And I resonate with you in the losing of a grandparent. And last year was my greatest initiation into who I am today. And it was losing my grandma, who was my complete matriarch, my complete maternal figure in my life, a consistent safe space for me since I was young. And I was initiated into being her caretaker and having to watch the process of death in a very intimate way, like in a very, seeing the truth and sometimes the disturbing aspects of of our mortality. And it, for me, was such an initiation into this idea that nothing ever dies, nothing ever ends. It transitions.
Yeah.
Right? Like this life, like it transitions. And even in relationships, like even people who are like breaking up or, people have new, people leave out of their lives, like nothing ends. It just transitions. And I think that once we hold that knowing of that truth and the wisdom of this dance that we have in life, to we're able to live in a more balanced way, right? And
Mhm.
that in and of itself opened up it completely opened up my spiritual gifts.
Mhm.
And the closeness that I feel with my grandma now, it's like we're closer than ever before. And but it was through this process that I had to learn and I had to witness to be able to open up my heart to a degree of, like, we think about our hearts breaking, right? Our hearts break and expand so that more can enter, right? And that's something that has allowed me, again, like, to tap into a lot of these intuitive gifts, a lot of these spiritual gifts that are coming online for me was my grandma. And it was this absolute heartbreak that has allowed me to connect to this other space. And that is something that I hold in so much gratitude, and has completely just reoriented my relationship with life, death, and rebirth.
Wow, that was so powerful. And for those that are not watching on YouTube, the light is just beaming
I
onto you.
know.
Like your grandma is sending like so, so much love and light, and you are absolutely glowing. And Gianna, when I see you, when I feel your energy, like everything about you, that is matriarch rising. Like that is so powerful. That is, it's like that unconditional love that many of us never had growing up. We didn't all have those really wise mothers or grandmothers to hold that space and that safety. And I think the invitation is to be able to cultivate that within ourselves. And I'm just so, so grateful for you being that mirror for that. I think I'm heard that I am that mirror of that for other people, that unconditional loving space to be able to sit in the truth that's so uncomfortable.
Yes.
But I want to say, like, your energy is, oh my goodness. Like, you talk about Hawaii being that, like, that mother cleansing. That is, your energy is just, I am so, so deeply grateful for you. So appreciative that you are doing your work. And it is a daily practice, you guys. Like, for those that are out there that are like, oh yeah, I'll do the work here or there, or like once in a while, or like once a month, I'll go to like a spirit circle. No, it is an every single day, multiple times a day practice. It's
It is,
constant.
it is constant, and it's a choice, right? Like that comes down to, it is a choice, every choice that you make. And it is again, yeah, it is not easy. It's not comfortable. It's not ideal sometimes. Like, it's like, this is so annoying. I don't want to do this. I am at beyond capacity,
Yes.
right? But it is still, at the end of it, it is a choice.
Yeah.
And
But it's so worth it.
oh, it's, yes, so
So
worth
worth it. It's like sitting in the resistance. That's what's not worth it. That's what I've recognized. Like, I catch myself in those moments where spirit calls me to evolve. And I'm like, but do I really need to today? Like right now? Really? It's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's bad. But it's so much harder to me. It's so much energetically more draining to sit in the resistance than to just do the thing,
Oh, yeah.
right? Just get on with it, right? Let's
Mhm.
get out of this funk. Let's just do the thing, no matter how hard it is.
Yes.
Sitting back there in the funk is so much harder. And that doesn't mean push through. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean ignore your body. If your body's saying rest,
Mhm.
getting out of the resistance might be, hey, take a few days off and actually rest,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Because your
Yeah.
resistance is your pattern, the pattern that keeps you stuck. Like,
Yes.
identifying that pattern and recognizing this is not serving me. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's doing that thing you've never tried and then realizing, oh, that
Mhm.
feels so juicy. Like, that
Yeah.
feels so nourishing and so comforting. And it might be going for a run. It might be, being in that masculine.
Yes, I love that you brought that up. That's what I was feeling into, is like, we're being called into this union within ourselves, right? This divine masculine and divine feminine, and we need both, right? Like, we need both. And so, yes, to your point, like, it's this dance of reflecting, resting, allowing, and then there comes a point where you're like, okay, action. But it's in balance, right? And that's where the dance happens, and we're called into this more, I would say, intentional way of relating to ourselves, and therefore relating to others and our environment and our world.
I love that. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts with the world, for sharing your love with me and with us on this podcast. And yeah, it's such a blessing to know you, to be in Spirit Tribe with you. This lifelong and many, many, many lives long.
To infinity and beyond.
To infinity is such a gorgeous sisterhood. I'm so grateful to, yeah, to just have to receive all of you. And thank you. Thank you. Oh my
Mm,
goodness, thank
mhm.
you. Such a gift. You're amazing.
I love you.
I love you. Find yourself a sister like this.
Yes, it's
They're out
needed.
there. They're out there. I promise they're out there. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. We'll definitely have to do another podcast, because I feel like there's so many things, boundaries, and pushing through of learning, and what's tolerable and what's not, and oh
Yes.
my goodness, ancestral traumas, and
Oh my gosh.
like
Yes, we have so many.
astrology, like all of your downloads. I feel like
Yes.
we could probably do an entire podcast just having conversations about everyday things.
100%, 100%, a whole series.
A whole series.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm down for it.
I
Hey,
mean, I'm calling that in. I was like, okay, yes.
let's go. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
April. We can do it in April.
Okay.
Let's go. All
Done.
right. Done. It's that easy. It is literally that easy. It's
Yep,
trusting
right
spirit.
there.
Done.
Right there.
I
Cool.
love it. I love it. Oh, Gianna, thank you so, so much. I love you. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. I know you have a lot of things happening this week. I hope to see you. Are you going back to Hawaii?
Tomorrow.
No.
No, no,
But
no,
you're
no,
coming
no.
back, but you're
I
coming
literally,
back.
everyone is so, it's so funny. Everyone is so like, I'm triggering people's abandonment wounds. And I'm like, no, 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 no. It's a quick trip.
It's a
I'll be right
recharge.
back. Yeah, it's a recharge, it's a rejuvenation, and then I'm back with even more. Like, it's
Girl.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, Vancouver, but like you said, I hear the calling to be in Vancouver,
absolutely.
and it is so strong, and so many people that came to your circle. It was the
Mhm,
first time we had all come together. It is the first time I have felt such power
mhm.
in this city. And I've tried. I've jumped, I've tried to find, and it's so funny how it came about. I remember you said, you came and you asked, where are the sisters? And
Yeah,
everybody scratched their heads and they were like, what are you talking about? It's
yes,
not. Yeah. So thank you for enlightening that energy and just, yeah, really calling us forward to come together, and
absolutely.
such a powerful space.
Yeah,
So thank you for bringing that love.
so welcome. And it's an
Mm,
honor. And for those listening too, like if you don't have it, if you don't see it, it might be your call to create it.
I
Create it and
love
they
that.
come. So
Oof, I got the truth chills everywhere. I know somebody's hearing this and they're like, yes, I'm
yes,
planning something. Absolutely.
yes.
And it really is that easy. It doesn't have to be micromanaged. It doesn't have to be like when spirit calls, when you hear the calling, just
Mhm.
do the thing. Whatever it is you love. Do like
Yep.
a nail polish painting nails night, whatever. Call
Yes.
people forward and they will
Yes.
come.
Yes. Yes. Because the
Moving art,
desires of your
whatever.
heart are the desires of your heart, but there are others that have the same yearnings and the same longings, and to honor
Yes.
that. And
Yes.
the
Love
spirit
it.
will show you.
Oh,
Mhm.
thank you.
So welcome.
All right, darling. So good to be with you. Have a great day. Take care, love.
Thank you.
Mwah.